transferring your design is the first step. There are a couple different ways you can actually transfer your design. What I did for this is I literally just printed this on the inkjet printer, and I pressed it really quickly onto the rubber to make a ghostly image, and then I carved around that. Very easy, very simple. You could also hand draw it, or you can use transfer paper as well to move your design from where you've originally drawn it to the block. And an optional thing too with your matrix is you can also cut your design down to size if there are large areas of blank space. This would be an example. This was cut on something square, but because I only wanted the shape of a fish, I cut out the shape of the fish. Whether you're using wood, lino, or any other relief material, there's a standard set of rules of carving when we come to the MakeSpace. The tools that we have here at the MakeSpace are these wood carving tools. Some readily available at Opus, for example, are these little carving sets. Both are perfectly fine. You want to hold your carving down with the opposite hand for stability. You want to carve away from yourself and your non-carving hand. You never want to force a cut or you'll risk injuring yourself, and you'll want to start with small strokes to build confidence with your line making. And this is just an example of what safe carving looks like. For larger areas of blank space, consider, like I said, cutting your block to size. Mirror any text that you carve, otherwise it's going to print backwards. For example, this logo is backwards so that when I stamp it, it's going to face right side up. And that's extremely important for prints like this, where your entire thing is text. You'll want to carve deep enough to avoid the ink filling in your lines during printing, but you don't want to carve too deep that you'll risk the actual matrix falling apart. You'll notice that with some more intensive carvings, there are a couple holes in here that are just areas that have been carved too deep. This little block right here is a great example of how deep you'll actually want it to cut, where it's about halfway, but not all the way deep. And then with ink, there are different types of ink to use. Water-based ink, the pros, it's environmentally safer, it's non-toxic, there's an easy cleanup, and it has really bright colors. I don't use it personally because it dries very quickly and the layers can actually risk flaking. If you want to use more layered designs, especially really saturated ones, water-based ink is best for single layers, monotype prints. And then there is oil-based ink. The pros, dries over several days, which is perfect for mixing multiple colors. It's versatile for a bunch of different types of prints beyond paper, different types of paper and stuff. It has really intense and rich colors. The cons is that it dries over several days. It's a really messy cleanup. It's toxic and environmentally unsafe. But we have a solution to both of these types of inks, water-soluble oil-based inks, the ones that we actually prefer here at the Fab Lab. We've got them in black, we'll get them in more colors. Basically, oil-based inks that can be washed with soap and water, environmentally safer, low toxicity, easy cleanup, bright, rich, intense, bright colors, versatile for different types of prints. It layers like an oil-based ink. The only cons is that it dries like an oil-based ink, and even though it is low toxicity, it's still a little toxic. And block printing for fabric, I just recommend the speedball type because you actually don't really need to heat set it. And after about 4 to 7 days after the ink is dry, it can remain permanent through the wash, and the ink won't easily crack or peel over time, and it can be cleaned up with soap and water. When it comes to paper for printmaking, we will have a bunch of newsprint available in shop for you to use. Newsprint is great for proofing and for test prints, and it's provided for free in the Fab Lab. Limited amounts of good paper is also provided for sale. Good paper examples, you'll want something archival, you'll want something that doesn't absorb a lot of moisture, so avoid paper like watercolor paper, avoid inkjet paper, avoid paper that's, you want the pores tight enough and archival enough for printmaking. And if you're unsure about the paper, whether or not it would be appropriate for printmaking, consider what you're making the prints for. If they're going to be fine art prints, get something a little bit bougie. If they're going to be pretty casual, like cards or posters, anything that's student grade is going to be perfectly fine. And like I said, if you're unsure about the type of paper that you're using, you can ask a steward. And I keep saying Opus because it's like the local art supply store.